Once upon a time, in a lush and vibrant village called Olai, nestled among rolling hills and sparkling rivers, there lived a young prince named Ekinwell. Olai was a peaceful village, where everyone knew one another, and the people held their prince in high regard. Prince Ekinwell, with his gentle nature and deep sense of responsibility, was loved by all. He was not only handsome but also kind-hearted, always listening to the concerns of his people and offering help where he could. Despite all the love and respect from his village, there was one thing Ekinwell lacked: he had no bride. Tradition in Olai dictated that a prince must choose his bride from another village, to strengthen ties and bring prosperity to his land. Yet, Ekinwell's heart had been slow to find the one it would beat for. His parents, the king and queen, gently reminded him that the time had come, and the village whispered of an impending search. Finally, one clear morning, Ekinwell set out on a journey to find his bride. His heart was heavy with anticipation, knowing that this journey would determine his future. The village bade him farewell with songs and prayers, and his mother placed a beaded crown on his head, whispering, "May you find not only a bride but the woman your soul longs for." With a few trusted companions, Ekinwell set off, traveling through forests and crossing rivers, visiting neighboring villages. Days turned into weeks, and though he met many beautiful women, daughters of chiefs, traders, and warriors, none of them stirred his heart. His companions often asked, "Prince, what are you looking for? These women are all good and worthy." But Ekinwell could only respond, "I will know her when I see her." One evening, weary from his journey, Ekinwell and his companions arrived at a small village called Ijero, known for its vibrant marketplace and skilled artisans. As they entered the village, the sunset cast a golden hue over the thatched roofs, and the air smelled of freshly baked bread and roasted yams. The village, though modest, had a warmth that seeped into Ekinwell's bones. A festival was taking place in Ijero, and the streets were filled with laughter, drums, and dancers. As Ekinwell walked through the crowd, he spotted a young woman at the edge of the marketplace. She wasn't dancing like the others; instead, she sat quietly under a tree, weaving a basket. Her head was bowed in concentration, and the last rays of the sun caught the soft curls of her hair, giving her an ethereal glow. Something about her quiet grace drew Ekinwell in. He approached her, his heart inexplicably racing. When she finally looked up, their eyes met, and the world around them seemed to fade away. Her eyes were deep and expressive, filled with both strength and a quiet sadness that tugged at Ekinwell's heart. "Good evening," he greeted her softly. "May I sit with you?" She smiled gently, nodding. "Of course, Prince Ekinwell." He was surprised she knew who he was. "You know my name?" "Everyone knows the prince who is searching for his bride," she said, her voice soft but steady. "And what is your name?" he asked, feeling an unfamiliar vulnerability in her presence. "My name is Adoni," she replied. "I am the daughter of the village blacksmith." They spoke for hours, long after the festival had ended and the stars had filled the sky. Ekinwell learned that Adoni had lost her mother when she was a child and had since been caring for her aging father. Despite her hardships, there was a quiet resilience about her, a wisdom beyond her years. She spoke of her love for her village, her dreams, and the pain of losing her mother, and with each word, Ekinwell felt more connected to her. When it was time to leave, Ekinwell knew he had found the woman his heart had been searching for. But there was something holding him back, a fear that Adoni, despite the connection they shared, might not feel the same way. The next morning, Ekinwell returned to Adoni's home to ask for her hand in marriage. Her father welcomed him graciously, but Adoni's face was somber. "Why are you troubled?" Ekinwell asked her gently. Adoni looked at him with tear-filled eyes. "Prince Ekinwell, my heart is heavy. I care for you deeply, but I cannot be the woman you want me to be. My place is here, with my father. He is old and sick, and I cannot leave him." Ekinwell's heart sank. He had traveled far and wide, searching for the woman who would complete him, and now that he had found her, fate was pulling them apart. "There must be a way," he said, his voice breaking. "I will take care of your father. He will live with us in the palace. You will never be far from him." But Adoni shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I cannot. My father has always been a proud man. He would never leave his home, and I cannot abandon him." Ekinwell stayed in Ijeru for days, trying to find a solution, but it was no use. Adoni's loyalty to her father was unwavering, and Ekinwell could not bear to ask her to choose between her love for him and her duty to her father. On the day Ekinwell was to leave, he met Adoni one last time by the tree where they first spoke. He took her hands in his eyes filled with sorrow. "Adoni," he whispered, "I love you more than words can say. But I cannot take you from your father. You have a good heart, and I cannot ask you to sacrifice that." Adoni's tears flowed freely now. "And I love you, Ekinwell. But my place is here. My heart will always be with you, even if my body cannot." They stood there for a long time, holding each other, the weight of their impossible situation pressing down on them. Finally, Ekinwell kissed her forehead and turned to leave. As he walked away, he felt as though he was leaving a piece of his soul behind. When Ekinwell returned to Olehai, the villagers could see the change in him. He was still the kind and compassionate prince they loved, but there was a sadness in his eyes that had not been there before. He never spoke of Adoni to anyone, but those who knew him well could sense that his heart had been touched in a way it never had before. Years passed, and though Ekinwell eventually married, his heart never forgot the woman by the tree in Ijeru. He would often sit by the river that flowed through Olehai, gazing at the water and thinking of the quiet girl with the woven baskets, wondering what might have been. And though he ruled with wisdom and love, the village often whispered of the prince whose heart had been lost to a woman he could never have.